My phone rang just after midnight. Kaya was already preparing for sleep, about to crawl into bed, when I noticed the caller was my cousin Amara. That detail alone stopped me. Quay, she never calls so late. I answered, heart suddenly racing. And her voice sounded unsteady. The very first thing she told me was, "Leave your car right there where it is. Do not go outside at all. Just trust me tonight." I asked her why, nervously. She refused to explain anything. Just kept repeating it softly. "Please listen. Just trust me." 10 minutes slowly passed by. Later, the parking lot outside my apartment building suddenly was filled with tow trucks, police cars, sirens, and flashing lights. They were not there randomly. They were not for neighbors. They were clearly there for something parked beside my car. Before we continue, please hit that subscribe button right now and comment where you're watching. I truly would love knowing. My name is Maya. I'm 27, living inside a small complex just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. I work remotely every weekday as a marketing assistant online for a growing travel company. Nothing thrilling at all, really. Just endless hours on laptops, emails, deadlines, and client calls. That particular night was Friday, so I had gone out earlier for dinner with coworkers nearby. We laughed loudly, shared drinks, and by the time returned, it was nearly 11:45 p.m. I parked in my usual spot under the streetlight near the corner of lot. My car is a silver Honda Civic, simple but mine. Nothing special, nothing flashy, but it gets me around. I grabbed my purse tightly and phone, walking upstairs slowly, tired, exhausted, and ready to crash. As I changed into my pajamas, I remembered. I'd left my work laptop and badge on the back seat. Almost went back down to get them. Before doing that, I called my mom like usual, I always do on weekends. She asked how dinner went, then reminded me gently about my aunt's birthday coming soon. Next week, she added casually and told me to sleep early. Just typical mom things. I smiled softly, promised her I'd rest properly, then hung up the call feeling calmer. But just as I grabbed my keys to head downstairs and retrieve my forgotten laptop, my phone buzzed loudly again. Amara. Now, let me explain something important about Amara. She isn't just my cousin. She's honestly more like family. We practically grew up together. She's 2 years older than me and my closest person. The one soul I trust with absolutely everything always. She's the calm one always, the smart one with answers. Always prepared, always thinking ahead. She works night shifts regularly as a nurse downtown hospital. So yes, we talk often, but never this late before and never with fear present. That was what stopped me. That was what made me listen. She didn't sound like herself. Her voice stayed low, almost as if she whispered quietly, "I love this." And the words she spoke hit my chest like ice. "Are you at home now? Are you safely inside already?" I answered yes, just arrived. Then she said it again, this time sharper and louder. "Don't go back to car. Lock your door right now. Stay inside. Just trust me." Before I asked anything more, she ended the call suddenly. I stared at my phone, confused, scared, yet convincing myself maybe she heard something strange. Maybe it was work stress. Maybe she was just protective. But I trusted her fully, so I dropped my keys, walked slowly toward my window, and carefully looked outside below. The lot felt silent. Wrong. Too quiet for that hour. And then, far in distance, I noticed flashing red-blue lights moving steadily closer. I stood frozen at window. At first, nothing was clear, just orange parking lot glow, casting long shadows between cars. My building stayed mostly dark, lights off in many apartments. A few televisions flickered faintly behind tightly closed curtains. Nothing looked unusual at first, but my heart pounded wildly. Amara's voice echoed loudly inside. I knew that tone. Well, that wasn't panic at all. That was control under pressure. The voice used during danger, when fear stays carefully hidden. That realization scared me most. She wasn't just afraid herself. She was protecting me intentionally. I moved slowly. from window to my front door carefully. I slid the bolt shut. Then I stood completely still, phone still shaking in hand, staring at the deadbolt silently, like it could somehow protect me from whatever approached outside. A minute passed, then another. I checked the stove clock. 12:07 a.m., glowing quietly. Then headlights swept across wall. I rushed quickly back window. This time, there was clarity. A police cruiser entered lot, followed closely by two more. Then came a black SUV. No logos, no markings visible, just tinted windows, silent tires. Behind them rolled tow trucks. Everything happened incredibly fast, yet time felt painfully slow. The lot lit up brightly, like a football field suddenly. Officers in dark uniforms stepped out, speaking urgently into radios. One carried a flashlight, shining it into parked cars. They were moving toward mine. I dropped low to floor, barely breathing, barely moving. My apartment sat second floor, and I didn't want seen. I crawled forward quietly, keeping my head down low, peeking just above windowsill. I saw one officer point directly toward my Honda. Another walked over and looked inside carefully with a flashlight asterisk. Then, they moved to the car next to mine, a dark sedan I hadn't really noticed before. It wasn't there earlier that same week. No, it suddenly looked important to them. And that's when I finally saw it. A man sat in the driver's seat quietly, hands gripping the steering wheel, completely still and unmoving. One officer tapped the window. The man didn't roll it down at all. He slowly opened the door and stepped carefully outside. It looked completely normal. Jeans, a hoodie, sneakers, could have been absolutely anyone. But his hands were shaking and his eyes kept flicking over toward my car. Then everything exploded into motion. Officers rushed him fast, shouting commands over each other. "Put your hands where we can see them." He turned suddenly to run, but didn't even make it 3 full steps. They tackled him hard down, right between the two cars, right beside my own. He screamed something loudly. I couldn't understand the words, but his arm was pointing directly at my car. I backed away from window, heart pounding so loudly. I could barely think straight. Was he trying to blame me for something? Was I caught inside something without knowing it? My phone buzzed again suddenly. It was Amara calling. I answered with shaky voice. "Amara, what is going on?" I whispered, quietly. She was breathing very hard. I could hear background noise, hospital beeps, rushing footsteps, a muffled overhead announcement. "I heard something earlier," she said very quickly. "2 officers brought in a patient tonight injured. He was hurt during surveillance earlier this evening. They were talking nearby in the hallway together. They didn't realize I was standing close. They were watching someone at a complex near your street location. I heard the make and model mentioned clearly. They said a silver Honda Civic might be involved, or at least matching one parked beside suspect. I didn't understand anything. Why would they think my car was involved? I just got home from dinner tonight." "I don't know," she said, "but when I heard your car mentioned there, I completely panicked inside. I thought, what if they make a mistake? What if they see someone walk to wrong car at exactly wrong time?" That's when it hit me. If I had gone downstairs like I originally planned, even just grabbing laptop, I might have walked out at that moment. I might have been standing there with keys, looking like part of it. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. The only reason I was still safely upstairs was because of one call. I couldn't stop. Shaggy sat on the floor, knees pulled tight to my chest. Phone still pressed to my ear long after Amara had already ended call. My apartment suddenly felt much smaller than before, walls closing in slowly, my thoughts running wild in endless tight circles. The quiet fridge buzzing and distant sirens humming only made things worse. I replayed everything repeatedly. If I had gone to my car 5 minutes earlier that night, I might have walked straight into that chaos. A man was cuffed. Officers searched parked cars, and someone pointed toward my direction moments earlier. Whether it was my exact car or mistake, Model or just color, I could have been standing right in place. I didn't know whether to feel angry or terrified. Mostly frozen, though. One thought kept screaming loudly. What if they still think I'm involved somehow? Then came another knock at the door suddenly. Sharp, deliberate, painfully loud. My breath caught instantly. I stood up slowly, legs weak beneath me, and tiptoed toward peephole. A uniformed officer stood there, calm but alert. His partner stayed. Aside, looking down at tablet, I didn't want open door. I wanted to pretend absent, but something inside told me to face this. If I acted guilty, maybe they'd believe that. I cracked door open just enough to see him clearly standing there. He gave a short nod. Ma'am, sorry to bother. We're checking in residence. Did you notice anything strange in parking lot tonight? He asked calmly. I hesitated briefly before answering. No, I got home before midnight. I've been inside since... Is something wrong outside? There was an incident involving a vehicle outside? He explained calmly then. We're looking into possible connections right now. You drive silver Honda, right? My throat tightened. Yes, but I haven't touched it since returning. I left work items inside but stayed upstairs. He nodded again slowly, eyes calm yet observant. We may need temporarily impound it for inspection. It matches description of vehicle in our case. You're not in trouble. It's standard procedure, though. I nodded, heart thudding. Okay, I understand. Fully, they didn't enter inside. They didn't accuse me. They noted statement, moved on. Still, it felt like my life was parked outside being taken away. Laptop ID, company badge, everything tied directly to me sat in danger, wrapped in situation unknown. I called Amara again moment officers finally left. She picked up instantly. They're towing my car, I said, voice shaking. I figured they would, she replied calmly then. Don't panic. This situation is bigger than your car. That guy arrested tonight. It's been watched for months. They think he used multiple cars to hide illegal items nearby. It's probably swapped plates, often parked near others blending. So I'm just collateral. I asked quietly then. No, Amara said firmly. You're lucky you weren't part of this case. Being close enough, though, that still tangles people. Or just being careful. Not going outside saved you from that scene. You know what? Being near the wrong car at wrong moment matters. I know, I whispered softly. They would have assumed. Something I felt helpless, almost violated. My car, my space, suddenly part of crime. I sat at kitchen table, staring blankly at phone. Every instinct screamed action, but there was none. I had to wait, trust the process fully, and trust Amara. Completely. That night I never slept. I sat by window watching. The tow truck pulled my car away slowly, following dark sedan ahead. It felt like dragging part of my life. But I realized something else. Everything could have gone differently. If I had gone outside, if Amara hadn't called, if I hadn't listened, I didn't just avoid inconvenience, barely missed something that could have ruined my life, my record, maybe even my career. One small moment changed everything that followed after. I didn't act dramatically. I didn't fight or chase. My turning point was quiet. It was trust alone. It was believing my cousin without knowing the reason. It was staying upstairs. That small, invisible choice ended up saving me. The next morning arrived quietly. I woke feeling unrested, like sleep never happened. My body felt exhausted, but my mind raced. I replayed everything again. The knock. Flashing lights, man in handcuffs, officers searching my car intensely. My heart dropping when Amara explained surveillance, and worst of all, the way he stared toward my car directly. As I poured coffee, hands shaking noticeably, my phone suddenly lit. A call from unknown number. Hello? Hi, is this Maya Hart speaking? The voice sounded official. Yes, this is Maya. This is Officer Russell with Charlotte Police Department. Your vehicle was taken for precautionary inspection last night. I wanted to follow up with questions and update findings so far. My heart skipped hard. Okay, I replied quietly. Once start saying you are not suspected, your car is clean. Nothing illegal was found inside, and your personal items. Your laptop, ID work badge remain fully accounted for, untouched. I released a breath I didn't realize holding. Thank you, I said softly into phone. I was really scared. I understand, he continued calmly. To give you context, the man apprehended last night had been operating using a cloned license system. Your make and model. Silver 2016 Honda Civic was chosen intentionally because it's common, easy replicate. He parked beside your car and used He parked beside your car and used nearly identical plates to blend seamlessly. Surveillance teams tracked him to your complex last night. But why did he point at my car? He was panicking likely, trying redirect attention, confuse us during arrest moment. When plates were run, your car flagged initially because of duplication match. But once we ran the VIN thoroughly verified, we confirmed it wasn't his vehicle involved. I leaned against wall, hand pressed to chest. It finally made sense. He tried disappearing nearby, blending into normal surroundings, and unknowingly, I became part of his cover. We're returning your vehicle today, Officer Russell added. It will be delivered back to your lot by noon today. You may be asked to give brief statement for documentation only. Again, you're not suspected. Okay, thank you. Really. After hanging up call, I sat at table staring at my hands. I wasn't crying anymore. I wasn't shaking either. I was completely still. My car had been part of federal surveillance. A stranger used its presence as protective. Camouflage. I almost got trapped inside something enormous. If I had been one step closer, touched wrong door handle, spoken wrong sentence aloud, walked into surveillance frame, I might have spent night in interrogation, proving I had nothing. To hide it all? Just before noon arrived, I watched from window as tow truck reversed back into the lot. My car looked unchanged, except white tag taped to windshield reading cleared. The driver parked it in same familiar spot, nodded toward building, then drove away. I didn't rush outside. I waited until breathing steadied, then slowly walked downstairs. I approached car cautiously, heart pounding unexpectedly hard, like expecting something wrong. But it was just my ordinary little car. Same crumbs from drive-through. The jacket always back seat, air freshener dangling mirror, and my laptop bag exactly where I'd left. When I opened door to grab it, I paused. Suddenly still. There between seats rested a folded piece paper. My heart jumped instantly. But unfolding it revealed officer property checklist only. My name, VIN, note reading all clear. No tampering reported. Still, I felt changed. Later that afternoon, Amara came by personally. Hey. She brought takeout food and hugged me tighter than ever before. We sat on couch, food resting in laps. TV played background noise, a show ignored completely. You saved me, I said quietly then. She shook her head. No, you saved yourself. You listened when it mattered. I almost didn't call, but you trusted me. That's what truly mattered. And she was right. One small pause moment, listening to late call, protected me from danger I never even saw. I didn't need bravery or clever thinking skills. I only needed trust. Trust someone who cared. Sometimes danger doesn't look like masks or threats. Sometimes it's ordinary places, a normal car nearby, and a polite knock. That's what hit hardest. You don't always see it, but sometimes someone else sees it for you. Weeks have passed since, but I still glance back walking toward my car. I double-check plates, scan for anything strange. And every black SUV or flashing lights nearby makes my heart race. Before that night, my world felt simple, safe, predictable, routine. I never hesitated walking to car after dark, never worried, leaving laptop. I didn't believe investigations could touch my life. That happened on television, not my apartment complex, not my parking lot, not to me, but it did happen. What scared me most wasn't what occurred. It was how close it came to. Worse, I replayed same moment. Keys in my hand, about to go outside, phone lighting with Amara's name. That call changed everything. Not just my night. How I see life. What if I missed call? What if I opened door? Leaned inside for laptop? Police arrived that instant. Mistook me for suspect. I couldn't explain fast enough. Truth is, we live near chaos unknowingly. The line between innocent and implicated is thin. That man didn't know me, didn't target me, but hiding beside me was almost enough. Yet I learned something else, something just as powerful. Trust saved my life. I trusted shaking voice, trusted lifelong connection. Amara didn't explain details. She didn't need to. Heard something different, and I listened immediately. That isn't always easy. We're taught to question, demand reasons, think logically. But sometimes protection comes without time for answers. Just instinct. Just trust. Just go inside now. Since then, Amara and I have grown closer. I told her how that night reshaped me. How I see places differently. How awareness follows me. She said she still thinks about that hallway. The overheard conversation detail. How it felt specific. I almost didn't call. She admitted quietly then. I feared overreacting, but something pushed me. I'm grateful she listened. That one instinctive action kept me completely safe. It reminded me lives are shaped by people. Who we trust matters. Who we listen to. That's the lesson I keep. Sometimes saviors wear no uniforms or capes. Sometimes they're just voices in the dark telling you to wait, to trust, to listen. I share this story not to scare you, but to show fragility. Safety is never guaranteed. Routines feel permanent, habits feel harmless. But one strange night can flip perspective entirely. So if someone calls late, sounding afraid or urgent, please listen carefully, even without explanations. You may never know what you avoided, how close danger came, but you'll know this. We're loved deeply. That's what I remember whenever Amara calls me. Now, that call changed my life forever. Not because something happened, but because something worse never got the chance. If this story made you pause or feel, please hit subscribe button and share in comments where you're watching from. I'd love to hear your story.